weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and boy, this the euphoria. Well, I mean, it's a little early; it's just the first round pick, but the euphoria over the Bears' first round pick, this cornerback from Oregon by way of Purdue, combined with the great season that was last year, and the draft has you thinking about football and the Bears. It could be dampened, the enthusiasm, if what the mayor of Hammond has suggested turns out to be true, which is we know an announcement is coming sometime in the early summer. And despite the General Assembly starting to move in the direction of a package the Bears could find attractive, what passed out of the House, as we discussed a bit earlier in the program, on Wednesday this week, the Bears characterized as a good first step, but more amendments are required on the Senate side before it gets to Pritzker's desk, before it's something that they would support. And frankly, a lot of this is going to be reading of tea leaves, Pritzker's reading of tea leaves in terms of where the public comes down once the details of any deal are actually in greater circulation than they are at present. But the mayor of Hammond believes this is a done deal, and the Bears are going to Hammond. That's going to be a real disappointment to those Arlington Heights residents that are being interviewed again by the local network affiliates to try to generate enthusiasm for Arlington Heights as the selected location. John Garcia reporting for ABC7.
Sources say it strays from the agreement that was already negotiated with the Bears. The House bill would put the Bears' payment in a fund for property tax relief for homeowners, and it fails to address a source of funding for infrastructure improvements that would be needed for the new stadium.
We're hoping that they see this as progress, that the legislature and the people in Illinois are doing everything we can to make it work.
Arlington Heights Mayor Jim Tenaglia issued a statement saying, in part, now that the bill passed the House, we're one step closer to working towards a world-class site concept that is a win for our community, the team, and the region as a whole.
Well, the Arlington Heights mayor might be in for some bad news, according to the Hammond, Indiana mayor. And by the way, the Chamber of Commerce guy you heard from there, the General Assembly is doing everything it can to make this a world-class deal or whatever. Yeah, everything it can except make Illinois a financially solvent, economically stable, from a policy perspective, environment such that you wouldn't have to do these carve-out deals to keep big businesses from Citadel to the Chicago Bears in town. But I digress. The mayor of Hammond, Indiana is Thomas McDermott Jr. He joins us now. Mayor, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for the invite.
So I know Bears brass were out there touring the site recently, and their reaction to what you have set up there in Hammond was what?
It was a real positive meeting for 5 hours. Can you hear me okay? I'm echoing.
Yeah, I can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. It was a 5-hour meeting. Lost Marsh was beautiful that day. It was a lot of due diligence. Hundreds of items that need to be completed if the Bears are going to move to the Lost Marsh area. So it was a real positive meeting. George McCaskey was there. Kevin Moore was there along with the entire team, meaning the senior leadership team. It was a real positive meeting, I thought.
It's interesting because unlike the Bears talking about what the General Assembly in Illinois is kicking around saying, some progress, but more needs to be done. I haven't heard them say the same thing about the package from a legislative perspective with the sports authority that was set up in Indiana, the bonding authority. I haven't seen them say that about Indiana in the sense that I haven't heard them say that's a good start, but there needs to be more done. It seems like they're content in terms of what's been done legislatively in Indiana, and now it's a question of the site itself. Is that fair?
I agree with you. And I know there was some concern that maybe there are some issues that had to be worked out on the site, and I think that a lot of those issues are clearing themselves up through the due diligence period. So I mean, I want you to know this area. We cleaned this area up. The city of Hammond cleaned this area up right before I took over as mayor 22 years ago. And so we know that the area is nice and clean, but the Bears don't know what we know. And now the Bears probably know a lot more about that area than even the city officials do.
Yeah, I talked to a couple lobbyist friends in Illinois, and one of the things they said about Arlington Heights, Arlington Park versus Hammond is, at the end of the day, the Arlington Heights property is just going to throw off more revenue. In other words, the size and what you can do on the Arlington Park property is just more advantageous to building a Bearsville than is the Lost Marsh property in Hammond. And so at the end of the day, as long as it's not confiscatory from a tax perspective, the Bears stand to make a lot more money with what they can do on the Arlington Park property versus the Hammond property. What do you say to that?
I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I mean, maybe when you look at the top line, at the gross revenue, maybe that's true. But after taxes and after the cost of doing business in Illinois, what does the bottom line say? Because I do know that if the Bears choose Indiana and Hammond, if the Bears do that, they're going to save over the life of this deal probably a few $2 billion in taxes alone. So when you take that into consideration, I'm not sure if that's true or not, to be honest with you.
And yeah, I mean, part of it depends on which retail you attract where, and so on, hotels and so on and so forth. So, I mean, I think it's somewhat it's modeling. That's probably fair. But I mean, to be clear, what you're talking about in Lost Marsh is the same thing as what is being discussed in Arlington Heights, which is like a Bearsville, something like Wrigleyville for the Bears.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm pretty sure that's what the Bears are interested in. And I've been using that same term myself, calling that entire area Bearsville, talking to the team saying, this is your area. You tell us what you want and we're going to make it happen. It's about 350 acres of blank canvas that the Bears could do whatever they want with. And I think they like, that's what they want. They want control. And I've heard multiple mentions about the area around Wrigley Field. And I know I'm a Cubs fan, so I go to Wrigley, 20 times a season. And I know that George McCaskey is also a Cubs fan. So I think there's a lot of interest in remodeling what the Cubs have done.
Have you gotten any inquiries like for property listings in Northwest Indiana from Caleb Williams, for example? Any other tells that you have?
Well, my house is for sale if he wants it. No,
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
I think we're still pretty. I've been talking to leaders of Northwest Indiana, especially people along the lakefront, saying this isn't a stretch to think that Caleb Williams may be driving down your street, going to his house in Long Beach, right on Lake Michigan. I mean, there are potentials for that kind of stuff to happen down the road, but right now we're so early in the process, it's hard to speculate like that.
I mean, maybe if you sweeten the pot with, I don't know, a few memberships to Crooked Stick,
We do have some good golf courses out here. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because I speaking of that, I talked to some friends that I play golf with that are out that way in Carmel and Indy and that stuff, and I think they believe it's a real possibility now, and I was a little skeptical until I talked to Governor Braun a few weeks back, and he's saying, look, I've been in business, I've been successful, I know when I'm being just used as leverage, and that's not this. So he said, we may not get it, but like this is a real option for the Bears, and they're treating it as a real option, which I thought, yeah, it sounds like that's what's happening. But there's still a lot of.
I totally agree. I totally agree with the governor, by the way. And we went through this whole, are we being used? And I agree with Governor Braun totally in that regard.
And who is your point person been in terms of these discussions? Is it Kevin Warren?
Well, I'm going through Jim McGough, who is one of the governor's top people. He serves on the Indiana Finance Authority.
No, I meant for the Bears. I meant for the Bears.
Well,
who are you?
I'm not directly negotiating on behalf of the state of Indiana, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And we're working with Kevin Warren and his team. But I go through Jim McGough because mayors can't pull this deal off by themselves. We need the state government involved. So, and Governor Braun, quite frankly, is being a champion for Indiana in this regard. He put politics aside because I'm a big Democrat in the state. I ran for U.S. Senate over here, and Governor Braun obviously the top Republican, and he never even let that enter his mind. He jumped on board with this. Him and I are working together, and I just, it's a real contrast to what's going on in Washington, D.C., what Governor Braun's doing here in Indiana.
Yeah, well, I mean, this would be, even, we can argue what public, even partial public financing of stadiums look like in terms of return on investment for taxpayers. Actually, the evidence is pretty overwhelming in one direction, and it's not positive. But this would be a coup for Indiana, even just psychically. And because Indiana is a well-run state and a fiscally stable one, you have the ability to do things maybe you wouldn't otherwise be able to do, like this.
Absolutely. I mean, we'd be one of the few states with 2 NFL teams if this happens. And I've heard a lot of the studies you're talking about, and I don't necessarily agree with all of them. I think that if you're talking about Chicago bringing another team or losing a team from Chicago, what kind of impact would that be on Chicago? Maybe it's minimal because Chicago's so spectacular. But if you move an NFL team to a city like Hammond, I think the benefits are going to far outweigh any negatives that we have, because we want some of the amenities that Chicago has, and I think this will help make it happen.
Did you? I mean, I don't know if that it was done yet, so I can't remember if I raised this with Governor Braun. But I mean, are you getting any pushback from residents who say, why are we going to be underwriting this stadium for a bunch of, for billionaires from Chicago to bring their team here? I mean, we're getting some of that in Chicagoland about the Bears in Arlington Heights. I'm just curious and this sort of does, that these are the sorts of issues that do sort of blur the partisan boundaries. So I just wonder if you're getting any pushback from taxpayers about their money being on the line here.
Not as much as you'd think. I'm getting more pushback from environmentalists that are worried about the future of that area, because it's a real green area of our city. So I'm getting more pushback on the environmental front as opposed to the stadium financing, because quite frankly, that's not really, my decision isn't really the stadium financing. That's coming from downstate. So my decision locally is we're going to repurpose this 350 acres, and I think that's some of the pushback I'm getting more locally.
And again, I mean, I started this at the outset, but the reporting on this, and maybe this is a mischaracterization of your words, but the reporting on this has been that you think that the decision has been made and has been made for a while, and Indiana is where the Bears are going. You're confident.
No, I mean, that is a mischaracterization. I wish I was that confident. And,
okay.
That's the funny thing. But I'm confident that it's the best deal. But I know what I think if the Bears don't choose Indiana, it's not because Illinois made a better deal. It's because of the psychological impact of moving out of Illinois and moving to Indiana. I've been saying that the only thing keeping the Bears in Illinois right now is nostalgia, and I still feel that way. I'm confident in the deal we put forward. I think it's a great deal for the Bears. I think the Bears are going to save a lot of money over the life of the deal, but only the Bears know if that's good enough, because it's in the Bears fight song. It's the pride and joy of Illinois. I mean, we're fighting nostalgia.
Yes.
We're fighting history. I mean, we're going to have to change the fight song if they move.
We're just going to have to delete that word. You're going to have to, the pride and joy of the Midwest. We got Indiana, Midwest. We're getting, boy.
Chicagoland area.
Yeah, but that doesn't quite have the same rhythm. You're right. We're going to have to workshop that. I forgot that. That's a problem. Now, would you
I was at the playoff game this year, and that hit me when we were singing after a touchdown. I'm like, man, we got to change the fight song if they move.
Oh boy! Well, yeah, boy, that classic interstate rivalry between the Colts and the Bears. You're gonna have that's gonna need 100 years to sort of develop. But would you sweeten the pot by also taking the Bulls? Maybe that could.
Listen. Yeah, I've been getting, it's funny is if a lot of people are like, hey, if this falls apart, can you go after the White Sox? And now I know the White Sox are looking to build more on the south side of Chicago, more downtown. So, but, Indiana is a well-run state. You mentioned that earlier. The Bears will save a lot of money if they choose Indiana. But, I wish I was as confident as a lot of the people are making my words sound. I'm
fair enough.
I'm hanging on every day, just like everybody else, hoping that the Bears make the right decision. So, all
right. Well, good luck to you, Mayor of Hammond, Indiana, Thomas McDermott Jr. Mayor McDermott, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. It's a pleasure. Take care.
Take care. And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560.